Today, we're diving into a strange little trick your mind plays on you. It's called the frequency illusion, and it's why sometimes things you've just noticed suddenly seem to be absolutely everywhere. You know that feeling, right? Maybe you buy a new blue car, and then, bam, the roads are suddenly flooded with blue cars. Or you learn a new word, say ephemeral, and now it's popping up in every single book you read. So what is going on here? Is the universe sending you a sign? Or is your brain just playing a really clever trick on you? Well, this feeling actually got its nickname back in 1994. A newspaper reader wrote a letter to the editor saying that after hearing about a German militant group called the Baader-Meinhof group just one time, he started seeing their name pop up everywhere. And it turns out he wasn't alone. Other readers chimed in with their own stories, and just like that, the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon was born. Later on, a Stanford linguist gave it a more official scientific name, the frequency illusion. And that's exactly what it is. It's the feeling that something has suddenly become way more common right after you first learned about it. But here's the twist. The thing itself hasn't changed at all. Your perception of it has. So how does this all work? Well, it's a two-part process. Okay, so the first part of this mental trick is all about focus. You can think of your brain as having a powerful spotlight that's constantly scanning the world around you. The technical term for this is selective attention. Your brain is getting hit with literally millions of bits of information every single second. To deal with this onslaught, it has to act like a bouncer at a super exclusive club. It unconsciously decides what's important enough to get in, and it filters out all the rest. And the way this spotlight works is surprisingly simple. When you learn that new word or you buy that blue car, your brain basically puts a little sticky note on it that says, hey, this is new and important. That primes your attention. It's like you've told that bouncer in your brain, from now on, let that one in. The blue cars were always there. You just weren't noticing them until now. So yeah, you can really think of your selective attention as a spotlight. It was always on, but now you've just aimed it at something new, and suddenly it's lit up everywhere you look, cutting through the background noise of your daily life. But that spotlight? That's only half the story. The second part of this whole thing is what really locks the illusion in place. Let's talk about confirmation bias. This one's a classic. It's our brain's natural tendency to look for evidence that proves what we already think is true, and at the same time, to ignore anything that might prove us wrong. It's like our own internal I told you so machine. So, if selective attention is the spotlight that finds that blue car in traffic, confirmation bias is the echo that immediately shouts back, see, there's another one. I knew they were everywhere. So let's put it all together. Here's how the illusion is built, step by step. First, you encounter something new. Then, your selective attention, your spotlight, starts picking it out of the crowd. And finally, every time you spot it, your confirmation bias, that echo, kicks in, reinforcing this false belief that it's suddenly more common. Spotlight, echo, illusion. Simple as that. Okay, so this is a pretty neat brain trick, but it's not just a fun fact. This illusion has some very real and sometimes very big impacts on our lives, from what we buy to how we think. Marketers, for one, absolutely love the frequency illusion. They'll run a big ad campaign just to get a product on your radar. That's the encounter. Then, your newly primed selective attention starts spotting that product on social media, in stores, on TV, and you start to think, wow, this thing is the next big thing. That perceived popularity makes you way more likely to buy it. It's not magic, it's just smart psychology. In medicine, this gets really interesting because it's a total double-edged sword. On the one hand, it can lead to problems. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, doctors started seeing so many cases of discolored toes that COVID toes became a well-known phenomenon, even though later research found a much weaker link than they first thought. But on the other hand, it can be a powerful training tool. You can prime medical students to look for the symptoms of a rare disease, basically using the illusion to sharpen their diagnostic skills. This illusion even affects how we see the economy. Our personal sense of inflation is often skewed by the prices we notice most often. A classic study in Sweden found that because women in households tended to do more of the food shopping, their perception of overall inflation was much higher when food prices were spiking, even if the broader actual inflation rate was lower. Their selective attention was lasered in on grocery bills, creating a skewed view of the entire economy. So we've seen what this illusion is, how it works, and how it shapes our world. Now for the big question, what does this all mean for you? And is there anything you can even do about it? Is there some kind of off switch for this? Can you just decide to stop experiencing it? Well, the short answer is no, not really. These mental processes, selective attention and confirmation bias, are fundamental to how our brains operate. You can think of them as features, not bugs. But that doesn't mean we're completely powerless. The single most powerful tool you have against this illusion is simply knowing that it exists. The next time you get that uncanny feeling that something is suddenly everywhere, you can just pause and ask yourself a simple question. Has the world actually changed, or have I just started paying attention? That simple question is the key to being a more critical and a more accurate thinker. And I'll leave you with one last kind of meta thought. Now that you've just spent all this time learning about the frequency illusion, get ready. You're probably going to start hearing and seeing the frequency illusion everywhere you go.